So now we're going on to chapter 14, Instruction to Vaishnavas and Brahmos, Sunday, September 23rd, 1883. I was thinking just before this began about what Swami Nirmalamananda, Krishnamurti Maharaj said. He's our Swami in Brazil. And he said he gives a gospel class every week. I think he said it's Wednesday night. And he said he takes one sentence. He goes and he speaks for 1 hour on that one sentence.
Gosh.
Because that sentence, one sentence, there's an entire universe in it. You can go again and again and again through the gospel. And we just did that a couple of days ago. It's like, I don't ever remember hearing that. Krishna Prabhu and I were like, how many years? It's like, never remember hearing that. So it's like, it's easy to let things slip through, or sometimes you're just not ready to hear it until the time is right. But every single sentence in here is pure gold. It's pure diamonds. And and just listening to these words can truly be life transforming. So it was kind of interesting hearing it from, that this is what they do in Brazil, one sentence at a time. It's just, there's so much in there. Or there he'll be reading a section, then there's one sentence that'll stand out, and then it'll just be a whole hour on that. So there we go, Sunday, September 23rd, 1883. So we think, okay, then Emma's only been coming for about a year at this point. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in his room at Dakshineshwar with Rakhal, M, and other devotees. Hazra sat on the porch outside. The master was conversing with the devotees. Master, to a devotee, Narendra doesn't like even you nowadays, to M. Why didn't he come to see me at Adhar's house? How versatile Narendra is. He is gifted in singing, in playing on instruments, and in studies. He is independent and doesn't care about anybody. The other day he was returning to Calcutta with Captain in his carriage. Captain begged Narendra to sit beside him, but he took a seat opposite. He didn't even look at Captain. What can a person achieve through mere scholarship? What is needed is prayer and spiritual discipline. Wow, there's an hour right there. What can a person achieve through mere scholarship? What is needed is prayer and spiritual discipline. Gauri of Indesh was both a scholar and a devotee. He was a worshiper of the Divine Mother. Now and then he would be overpowered with spiritual fervor. When he chanted a hymn to the Mother, the pundits would seem like earthworms beside him. I too would be overcome with ecstasy. At first he was a bigoted worshiper of Shakti, that's the Divine Mother. He used to pick up tulsi leaves. Those are leaves that are sacred to Vishnu, or aspects of Vishnu such as Krishna or Rama, Chaitanya, etc. He used to pick up tulsi leaves with a couple of sticks so as to not touch them with his fingers. All laugh. Then he went home. When he came back, he didn't behave that way anymore. He gave remarkable interpretations of Hindu mythology. He would say that the 10 heads of Ravana, that's in the Ramayana, represent the 10 organs. Kumbhakarna was a symbol of tamas. Kumbhakarna is the one who would eat enormous amounts and then sleep 6 months out of the year. Ravana, who was the monster with 10 heads, of Rajas, and Bibhishana of Sattva. That was why Bibhishana obtained favor with Rama. After the master's midday meal, he was resting. Ram, Tarak, who later became Swami Shivananda, and some other devotees arrived from Calcutta. Nityagopal, Tarak, and several others were staying with Ram, a householder disciple of the master. Nityagopal was always in an exalted spiritual mood. Tarak's mind, too, was always indrawn. He seldom exchanged words with others. Ram looked after their physical needs. Rakhal now and then spent a few days at Adhar's house. Ram to the master. We've been taking lessons on the drum. Master to Ram. Nityagopal too? Ram, no sir, he plays a little. Master, and Tarak? Ram, he knows a good deal. Master, then he won't keep his eyes on the ground so much. If the mind is so much directed to something else, it doesn't dwell deeply on God. Ram. I have been studying the drum only to accompany the kirtan. Master to M. I hear that you two are taking singing lessons. Is that so? M. No, sir, I just open my mouth now and then. Master. Have you practiced that song, "O Mother, Make Me Mad with Thy Love"? If you have, please sing it. That song expresses my ideal perfectly. The conversation turned to M's hatred for Hazra's certain hatred for people, which Ramakrishna did not like. Master to the devotees. I used frequently to visit a certain house at Kamarpakor. The boys of that age were of my age. The other day, they came here and spent 2 or 3 days with me. Their mother, like Hazra, used to hate people. Then something happened to her foot, and gangrene set in. On account of the foul smell, no one could enter her room. I told the incident to Hazra and asked him not to hate anybody. Toward evening, as Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in the northwest corner of the courtyard, he went into samadhi. In those days, the master remained almost always in an ecstatic state. He would lose consciousness of the world at the slightest suggestion from outside. But for scant conversation with visiting devotees, he remained in an indrawn mood and was unable to perform his daily worship and devotions. Coming down to the relative world, he began to talk to the Divine Mother, still standing where he was. "Oh, Mother," he said, "worship has left me, and japa also. Please see, Mother, that I do not become an inert thing. Let my attitude toward God be that of a servant toward the Master. Oh, Mother, let me talk about Thee and chant Thy holy name. I want to sing Thy glories. Give me a little strength of body, that I may move about, that I may go places where Thy devotees live, and sing Thy name." In the morning, Sri Ramakrishna had been to the Kali temple to offer flowers at Mother's feet. Continuing, the Master said, "Oh, Mother, I offered flowers at Thy feet this morning. I thought, that is good. My mind is going back to the formal worship. Then why do I feel like this now? Why art Thou turning me into a sort of inert thing?" The moon had not yet risen. It was a dark night. The Master, still in an abstracted mood, sat on the small couch in his room and continued his talk with the Divine Mother. He said, "Why this special discipline of the Gayatri? Why jumping from this roof to that? Who told him to do this? Well, perhaps he's doing it of his own accord. Well, he will practice a little of that discipline." The previous day, Sri Ramakrishna had discouraged Ishan about Vedic worship, saying that it was not suitable for the Kali Yuga. He had asked Ishan to worship God as the Divine Mother. The Master said to M, "Are these my fancies or are they real?" M remained silent with wonder at the Master's intimate relationship with the Divine Mother. He thought she must be within as well as without. Indeed, she must be very near us, or why should the Master speak to her in a whisper? And then we move on to the next day. Wednesday, September 26th, 1883. There were very few devotees with the Master, for most of them came on Sundays. Rakhal and Latu were living with him the greater part of the time. M arrived in the afternoon and found the Master seated on a small couch. The conversation turned to Narendra. Master to M, "Have you seen Narendra lately?" With a smile. "He said of me, he still goes to the Kali temple. But he will not when he truly understands. His people are very much dissatisfied with him because he comes here now and then. The other day he came here in a hired carriage and Surendra paid for it. Narendra's aunt almost had a row with Surendra about it." The Master left the couch and went to the northeast veranda, where Hazra, Kishori, Rakhal, and a few other devotees were sitting. Master to M, "How is it that you are here today? Have you no school?" M, "Our school closed today at 1:30. Master, "Why so early?" M, "Vidyasagar visited the school. He owns the school, so the boys get a half holiday whenever he comes." Master, "Why doesn't Vidyasagar keep his word? If one holds to truth and looks upon woman as his mother, He does not, if one who holds to truth and looks on God as his mother does not realize God, then Tulsi is a liar. If a man holds to truth, he will certainly realize God. But the other day, Vidyasagar said he would come here and visit me, but he hasn't kept his word. There's a big difference between a scholar and a holy man. The mind of a mere scholar is fixed on lust and greed, but the sadhu's mind is on the lotus feet of Hari. The scholar says one thing and does another, but it is quite a different matter with a sadhu, a holy person. The words and actions of a person who have given their mind to the lotus feet of God are altogether different. In Benares, I saw a young sannyasi who belonged to the sect of Nanak. He was the same age as you. He used to refer to me as the loving monk. His sect has a monastery in Benares. I was invited there one day. I found that the Mahanta was like a housewife. I asked him, "What is the way?" "In the Kali Yuga," he said, "the path of devotion as enjoined by Narada." He was reading a book. When the reading was over, he recited, "Vishnu is in water, Vishnu is on land, Vishnu is on the top of the mountain. The whole world is pervaded by Vishnu." And at the end he said, "Peace, peace, abiding peace." One day he was reading the Gita. He was so strict about his monastic rules that he would not read a holy book looking at a worldly person. So he turned his face toward me and his back on Mathur, who was also present. It was this holy man who told me of Narada's path of devotion as suited to the people of the Kali Yuga. M. Are not sadhus of his class followers of the Vedanta? Master, yes, they are. But they also accept the path of devotion. The fact is that in the Kali Yuga, one cannot wholly follow the path laid down in the Vedas. Once a person said to me that he would perform the Purusharna of the Gayatri. I said, "Why don't you do that according to the Tantra? In the Kali Yuga, the discipline of Tantra is very efficacious." And by Tantra here, they mean the path of the worship of the Divine Mother. It doesn't mean left-handed Tantra, which is a whole different thing. This is basically, the Tantra is recognizing the Divine Mother of the universe as the creator, sustainer, and the power of the universe. It is extremely difficult to perform the rites enjoined in the Vedas. Further, at the present time, people lead the life of slaves. It is said that those who serve others for 12 years or so become slaves. They acquire the traits of those who they serve. Remember, this is in the time of people, this is the British were in charge of India at the time, so many of these people had to work for the British. And so their wages were paid by the British, and so they had to kind of follow the religion and the education as demanded by the British. While serving their masters, they acquire the rajas, the tamas, and the spirit of violence, the love of luxury, and other traits of their master. Not only do they serve their masters, they also enjoy a pension after their term of service is over. In other words, they have to lie, they have to cheat, they have to follow a whole different culture in order to keep their job, in order to keep the money coming in. But they become wholly different people and become sort of they can't follow the people who they really are on the inside. Once a Vedantic monk came here. He used to dance at the sight of a cloud. He would go into ecstasy of joy over a rainstorm. He would get very angry if anyone went near him when he meditated. One day I came to him while he was meditating, and that made him very cross. He discriminated constantly. Brahman alone is real, and the world is illusory. Since the appearance of diversity is due to Maya, he walked around with a prism from a chandelier in his hand. One sees different colors through the prism. In reality, there's no such thing as color. Likewise, nothing exists in reality except Brahman, that infinite divine existence. But there is an appearance of the manifold because of Maya, or egotism. He would not look at an object more than once, lest he should be deluded by Maya and become attached. He would discriminate while taking his bath, at the sight of birds flying in the sky. He knew grammar. He stayed here for 3 days. One day he heard the sound of a flute near the embankment and said that a person who had realized Brahman would go into samadhi just hearing that sound. While talking about the monk, The master showed his devotees the manners and the movements of Paramahamsa, the gait of a child, face beaming with laughter, eyes swimming in joy, and the body completely naked. Then he again took a seat on the small couch and poured out his soul-enthralling words. Master to M. I learnt Vedanta from Nangta. Brahman alone is real, and the world is illusory. The magician performs the magic. He produces a mango tree which even bears mangoes, but all this is sleight of hand. The magician alone is real. It seems that the whole of life is a long sleep. This much I understand, that we are not seeing things rightly. We perceive a world with a mind which we cannot comprehend, we can't even comprehend the nature of the sky. So how can our perceptions be correct? Master, there's another way of looking at it. We do not see the sky rightly. It looks as if the sky were touching the ground at the horizon. How can a person see correctly? Their mind is delirious, like the mind of a typhoid patient. The master sang in his sweet voice, What a delirious fever is this that I suffer from, O mother! Thy grace is my only cure. Continuing, the master said, Truly it is a state of delirium. Just see how worldly people quarrel among themselves. No one knows what they quarrel about. Oh, how they quarrel. May such and such a thing befall you. How much shouting, how much abuse. I said to Kishori, the box is empty. There's nothing inside, but two people pull on it from either side thinking the box contains money. Well, the body alone is the cause of all this mischief, isn't it? The jnanis see all this and say to themselves, what a relief one feels when this pillowcase of a body can drop off. The master and M went toward the Kali temple. Master, why should you say such things? This world may be a framework of illusion, but it is also said that it is the mansion of mirth. Let the body remain. It can also turn this world into a mansion of mirth. M, but where is unbroken bliss in this world? Master, yes, where is it? Sri Ramakrishna stood in front of the shrine of Kali and prostrated himself before the Divine Mother. M followed him. Then the master sat on the lower floor in front of the shrine room, facing the blissful image, and leaned against a pillar of the Nat Mandir. He wore a red bordered cloth, part of which was on his shoulder and back. M sat by his side. M, since there is no unbroken happiness in this world, why should one assume a body at all? I know that a body is meant only to reap the results of past action, but who knows what kind of action it's performing now? The unfortunate part is that we are being crushed. Master, if a pea falls into filth, it grows into a pea plant nonetheless. M, but still there are the 8 bonds. Master, yes, there are 8 bonds, but they are not 8 bonds, but 8 fetters. But what if they are? These fetters fall off in a moment by the grace of God. Do you know what it's like? Suppose a room has been kept dark 1,000 years. The moment a person brings a light into it, the darkness vanishes, not little by little. It's like you walk into a room, just turn on the light. No one's been in that room. You go into a cave. No one's been in that cave for 1,000 years. You turn on a light, there's light. Same thing, we can have ignorance for forever, it seems. One moment of God's grace, one moment of illumination, one moment of finding out who we really are, all that's gone. All our ignorance drops off. Haven't you seen the magician's feet? He takes a string with many knots and ties one to the end of something, keeping the other in his hand. Then he shakes the string once or twice, and immediately all the knots come undone. But another person can't untie the knots however much they may try. All the knots of ignorance come undone in the twinkling of an eye through the Guru's grace. Well, can you tell me why Keshav Sen has changed so much lately? He was a very well-known speaker, religious leader who believed in sort of a Hindu monotheism, a very popular man. He used to come here very often. He learnt here how to bow low before a holy person. One day I told him that one should salute a holy man. One day I told him that one should not salute a holy man as he'd been doing. Harish said rightly, all the checks must be approved here. Only then will they be cashed in the bank. M listened to his words breathlessly. He began to realize that Satchidananda in the form of the Guru passes the check. Master, do not reason. Who can ever know God? I've heard it from Nangto once and for all, that this whole universe is only a fragment of Brahman. Husserl is given to too much calculation. He says, this much of God has become the universe, and this much is the balance. My head aches at his calculations. I know that I know nothing. Sometimes I think of God as good, sometimes as bad. What can I know of God? And it is true, sir. Can anyone ever know God? Each thinks with his little bit of intelligence that he has understood all of God. As you say, an ant went to a sugar hill and finding 1 grain of sugar filled its stomach, thought that the next time he would take the entire hill into the hole. Master, who can ever know God? I don't even try. I only call on him as mother. Let mother do whatever she likes. I shall know her if it is her will, but I shall be happy to remain ignorant if she wills otherwise. My nature is that of a kitten. It only cries mew, mew. The rest it leaves to its mother. The mother cat puts the kitten sometimes in the kitchen and sometimes on the master's bed. The young child wants only his mother. He doesn't know how wealthy his mother is. He doesn't even want to know. He only knows, I have a mother. Why should I worry? Even the child of a maidservant knows he has a mother. If he quarrels with the son of the master, he says, I shall tell my mother. I have a mother. My attitude, too, is that of a child. Suddenly, Sri Ramakrishna caught M's attention and said, touching his own chest, well, there must be something here, isn't that so? M looked wonderingly at the master. He said to himself, does the mother herself dwell in the master's heart? Is it the Divine Mother who has assumed this human body for the welfare of humanity? Sri Ramakrishna was praying to the Divine Mother. O Mother, O embodiment of Om. Mother, how many things people say about thee, but I don't understand any of them. I don't know anything, Mother. I have taken refuge at thy feet. I've sought protection in thee, O Mother. I pray only that I may have pure love for thy lotus feet, love that seeks no return. And Mother, do not delude me with thy world-bewitching Maya. I seek your protection. I have taken refuge in thee. The evening worship in the temples was over. Sri Ramakrishna was again seated in the room with M. M had been visiting the master for the past 2 years and had received his grace and blessings. He'd been told that God was both with form and without form, that he assumed forms for the sake of the devotees. To the worshiper of the formless God, the master said, hold to your conviction, but remember that all is possible with God. He has form, and again, he is formless. He can be many things more. And I think that's a good place to end this reading of the gospel for today. Any question, any discussions, objections, arbitrations? Nada? I don't bite, you know that. What's that? Oh, give Ganga a heart back. Heart to Florida. Okay. Any other quandaries? Well, in that case, we can meditate a little bit longer. And announcements coming up. Tomorrow, don't miss the lecture, the spiritual talk by Swami Arupeshananda, What is Divine Love? At 11 o'clock here tomorrow, here in person and online. Next Wednesday, a reading of How a Shepherd Boy Became a Saint, 5 p.m. here. And next Saturday, a reading of, again, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna right here in the temple, both online and in person. All right, we can conclude with a chant then. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all for joining. Thank you all for joining.